What is up? Team Dose Alliance 671 coming at you with an updated deck profile for, you guessed it, the Skull Servants. First of all, happy Spooky Month, guys. This is the perfect time to showcase my updated King of the Skull Servants deck profile, or just Skull Servants, as you may. And this was since last year I made this deck profile, so due to the new ban list, I'm going to update it really quick for you guys. So without further ado, let's go and get started. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and be tongue twisters, sorry. Hit that bell and become a part of the notification squad. And without further ado, let's get straight on into this, as my idol once said. So first off, we run 3 copies of King of the Skull Servants. This is the main boss monster of the deck. He gains 1,000 for each Skull Servant in the graveyard. 1,000 attack, that is, in which majority of the white monsters in this one, and even Skull Servant himself, counts as Skull Servant. And don't worry, he also gains attack for each copy of himself in the graveyard as well. So it's Skull Servant and King of the Skull Servants. So you're good on that one. And then next, also I forgot to mention, when he's destroyed by battle, you can banish the Skull Servant in the graveyard and special summon him straight to the field. So he regenerates like a true skeleton. So he's a true zombie in a sense. I'm gonna have to disagree with you, my idol, aka Dark Arndulus. It does happen, like if they borrow sword and attack over this dude, or if they negate the effects during the battle phase and he gets destroyed by battle. It does happen, and when you do pull it off and you regenerate him with his attack points back, it's super funny. It throws the opponent off. I held off an OTK just by constantly regenerating him when they try to destroy him by battle. It's super insane. I have neighbors that do Fast and Furious, guys, sorry. So I hope you don't mind the background noise. So to continue, we run 3 copies of White Prince. For every king there is a prince. So this one, if you send to the graveyard anyway, you send the 2 names from your hand to the graveyard as well, which is Skull Servant and Lady in White. And also you could banish him and 2 other Skull Servants in your graveyard, and to summon the king from your deck, because he can't wait to be king, so the prince becomes a king. Just kidding. Then next we run 3 Lady in Whites. Pretty much the queen of the deck. She has it where level 3 or lower zombies other than herself cannot be affected by spells and traps. Only spells and traps, which is really good to protect King of the Skull Servants, and you want to protect him from like back row, like spells and traps that could destroy him while you are to king, especially Magic Cylinder. Please make sure this is out if you know they have Magic Cylinder. Trust me, I have experience. I'm just kidding. So yeah, that's pretty much what she does. And she also has it where those 3 or lower zombies can't be destroyed by battle. That one you don't have to worry about too much, but like I said, sometimes it does come up. Then the original Skull Servant. I got the speed duel version for you guys. So just like Dark Arndulus says, this was the foreshadowing of an amazing archetype for the zombies. And it really went a long way. And for every queen, there is a princess. We ran 3 copies of White Princess. When she's normal or special summoned in any way, you send the White Prince to the graveyard to therefore trigger their effect. His effect. And her second effect is that you can send her from the hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to have all your opponent's monsters lose 300 attack for each level or rank that each of those monsters have. So it really helps to shrink down the opponent's monsters, and if you still happen to know more special summoner and they try to impermanence it, you could just chain her quick effect on top, and then you can have it dodge the effect. She's probably the only quick effect in this deck, because effects like White Mirror, unfortunately, is not a quick effect. I found out just recently, but that's okay. To continue, and also she's helps me stop so many OTKs because of tier limits trying to OTK. This deck beaten tier limits a few times, so locals I made to top 4 or top cut, and did pretty good. I learned a few rulings as well, so we'll get to that later. 3 copies of White Baking for the support group. White Baking, if it's sent to the graveyard in any way, like White Prince, you could search for 2 cards that mention Skull Servant and its text. 2 monsters, that is. Let me just verify that. Yeah, 2 monsters of different names from your deck to your hand that mention Skull Servant, or that are either Skull Servant or list specifically Skull Servant and its text. So it's both. And then White Mirror, we ran 2 copies because there's a chance you could summon King of the Skull Servants from your Banish Stone if you banish Valor Darkness or some other means. You could summon Lady in White from the Banish Stone, and she's always going to be a target because you use the effect of White Prince to banish Skull Servant and Lady in White. And speaking of Skull Servant, you can also use that effect to send Skull Servant from this effect to send Skull Servant from a Banish Stone to the graveyard, as well as Nightmare White Mirror himself. So you could also fuel the King of the Skull Servants to get him stronger. You could summon Lady in White in defense mode. She's sitting in defense safely while the King strikes and is unaffected by spells and traps. Okay, that'll be it for the Skull Servant lineup, guys. For the zombie support, we run Unizombie. This is pretty much the center piece of the engine. Well, more like the main starter, basically. You could target himself or any other monster on the field. Increase his level by 1, and it has to have a level if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think that's just the rulings in general. And for the first effect, it's pretty much the same, targeting any monster in the field as cost, and then increases level by 1. Then you could discard 1 card as part of the effect. Then the second effect is you could do the same thing as cost, increase the monster's level by 1, and then send a zombie from your deck to the graveyard, but you're locked to only zombie monsters to attack. Don't forget that. And don't worry, you're totally cool with that because you're mostly going to attack with King of the Skull Servants anyways. And then 2 copies of Ash Blossom because she's a zombie. Not only does she stop your opponent, but it helps synergize the zombie engine as well. And we do run quite a few zombies, like Gozuki. Like Unizombie, I could send a zombie from my deck to the graveyard during the main phase. And if this one's sent to the graveyard anyway, I could banish a zombie in my graveyard to summon a zombie from my hand. So this is a very versatile card, just like his older brother, Mizuki. Very simple effect. Banish 1 card, or banish itself from the graveyard and summon a zombie from your graveyard. Only 1 because you only really want to use him as a trump card. You don't want to see too much of him in your hand, if that makes sense. And you're mainly concentrating on sending the Skull Servants to the graveyard. And to continue with our zombie support lineup, we also run, to fit the theme of Halloween, Jack-o'-Bolin. You can special summon this zombie by discarding a zombie from your hand. And he has an effect of where during the opponent's main phase, you could banish him or target a zombie in your graveyard, special summon that zombie, then banish him, and at the end phase he comes back. So he just tags out a little bit to bring out a zombie from a graveyard like King or White Prince, then he chain link Rabel, and then Jack-o'-Bolin comes back anyways. Also, he's a level 7, so you could synchro summon a Ash Blossom or Unizombie if you didn't change his levels to go into Baron de Fleur. So that's a cool way to cheat out Baron de Fleur. I did that before. That was amazing with Ash Blossom, surprisingly. And I went to Baron de Fleur to help control the field. That was really intense and really awesome. So that'll be it for the monster lineup, guys. Now for the spells, the main draw engine and the best draw card in the deck. You don't need to really run anything else. Allure of Darkness. Draw 2 cards and then is the resolution part of the effect. You banish a dark monster. Don't forget you could draw you draw two cards first, and then that increases your chances of drawing a dark monster. Or if you already have one in your hand, you could decide which one you want to banish. For this deck, you mainly want to banish King of the Skull Servants, because you could bring it back with White Mare, or you could even banish Lady in White if you want to bring her out faster. Or if you could just banish Skull Servant and then you could return it to the graveyard later with White Mare anyways. And then to add to the Halloween theme, 2 copies of Lightning Storm. Because most horror movies have lightning. I just realized that. So basically, this has 2 effects you could choose from. Destroy all attack position monsters the opponent controls, or destroy all spells and traps the opponent controls. You can only activate it if you have no face-up cards on the field, but that's totally fine because you want to activate this first anyways, before you do anything else. So you pretty much could go Sith Lord on the opponent and do Force Lightning. The unlimited power! Just kidding. Anyways, we run 2 copies of, speaking of Forbidden of the Dark Side, 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Look, more Halloween themed cards. Just kidding. We all know what this does by now, and it really helps the Skull Serpent engine, because the fact that you send cards from your hand to the or field to the graveyard, and it has you could choose that many effect monsters. You have to choose that many effect monsters the opponent controls. Like if you send 2, you have to choose 2, FYI. It doesn't target, of course. Halves the attack, and depending on what types of cards you send to the graveyard by this effect, monster spells, traps, you could have it where the opponent can't chain any of those types of cards. And it's really strong as well. Some people even go as far as mainboarding impermanence, just so they don't have Solemn Judgment chained to this. But I'll show you guys how I do it for me personally. So, one copy of Monster Reborn, because why not? It's a zombie deck. You want as much survival as possible. Go figure, because they're zombies. Anyways, 1 for 1. Let's just say more. You send 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon a level 1 monster from your hand or deck. See? 1 for 1. I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is a really awesome card in this deck because you could bust out White Baking or White Prince or even King of the Skull Servants. You could send White Baking or White Prince to the graveyard with as cost, and then you could just go from there. It's a really excellent card. Another trump card in this deck is Burial from Different Dimension. You could recycle your Mizuki by targeting up to 3 banish monsters and then return them to the graveyard. Very simple effect. And it helps return your White Prince and Skull Servants, so your king could get much stronger. Just 1, because again, you want to draw it as a trump card. Okay, let's go and get these out of the way for you guys. That's the play sets and then the 1-0s. And then next for the 1-0s, we also run Foolish Burial. You send a monster from your deck to graveyard. Simple as that, and a very powerful card in this deck. You could take it from there. And the last trump card, Card Destruction. This triggers so many effects. Yes, it does trigger some of your opponent's effects, but all of your effects trigger while you replenish your hand. So if you draw a bunch of Skull Servants and you have this card in your hand, no problem. You discard it and then you draw. I notice a lot of people don't ash this because they want to draw something and discard their hands, but I'm afraid their greed's going to get the best of them, especially if you discard a lot of Skull Servants and attack with a 1-punch Saitama as the King of the Skull Servants. Yep. Okay, so that'll be it for the spells. Let's go ahead and go to the extra deck. To fit the zombie theme, Skeletal Dragon Felgrand. Out of all the new zombie supports, like Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord and Immortal Dragon, I find this to be the most useful. He's a level 8, he's a zombie, so you could attack with him when you use Unit Zombie's effect, which is really badass. He has an effect where you special summon in any way. You could target 1 card in the field or in the opponent's graveyard and banish it. So he's anti-TPE, basically. And you have Forbidden Droplet to back that up, which is really awesome. And if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard in any way, while this is on the field, you can target one monster on the field and negates its effects. Let me just clarify that for you. That is correct. Target one face monster in the field. Any monster in the field. So that's a really good card, and it's a light monster, so it does throw off the opponent a little bit, so because they can't dark it basically, and that's perfectly fine. And you have stuff to bring it back from the graveyard anyways, like Mizuki. So anyways, let's continue. Sideframe Lord Omega, because sometimes you want to go into that other level 8. It's some of your other going first place if your opponent is trying to be smart and they make you go first. They realize that he has some going first place. I think we all know what this does by now. He has like 3 effects, but let's go ahead and move on because I want to save you guys some time. So next in the synchro lineup, we run Trishula. This one's a straight up simple effect. When he's synchro summon in any way, or they're synchro summon in any way. I'm just kidding. Anyways, you could banish up to 3 cards from one from the opponent's graveyard, one from the opponent's hand, and one from the field, and it doesn't target. So you have the non-targeting banish, and you bring this out a lot. Another one of your first turn plays, or if you're just going second, and you want to clear some stuff that can't be targeted or destroyed, etc. And then Baron de Fleur, because you just can. You could synchro summon for her, and then you have a generic negate. And then for the 1 Xyz monster, Levier, the Sea Dragon, it brings, you detach 1 Xyz material, bust out a banished monster from your banish zone that is level 4 or lower. Yeah, any of the banished monsters, which is really cool. So that'll be it for the synchros and exceeds. Let's go to the links. Very simple lineup for the links. Relinquish Anima because there's a lot of level 1s, and you could steal opponent's monsters. Sometimes they forget that, like they summon the close left monster zone, and then you could just summon the extra deck monster zone and then take that opponent's monster. Sometimes they have no choice to fill up their board, so this is a good board breaker. And then for the next link one, we run Link Reable for obvious reasons, and there's a combo you could do with that with another Link monster rerun. We run not this one, but Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, because you want those monster negates. Another one of those going first plays that the opponent makes you go first to play it safe, because this is an OTK deck, but you have some surprises for them too if you're hard to go first. And then the key piece for going first, if they ever make you, is Topologic Zero Boros. I'll show you a combo for that later, perhaps in another separate video. So this guy gets 200 attack for each banish monster, or banish card basically. Yeah, for each banish card. So seeing that you're always banishing your Skull Servants a lot, especially with White Prince, this guy is bound to get strong. So you have like another King of the Skull Servants basically. But that's not why he's here. If another monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, while it's on the field, you can banish all cards in the field. So you could just link climb, and in one of those steps you go into Link Reable, and then you could go into Zero Boros, and then you have like King of the Skull Servants here somewhere. And then the opponent's turn, you could use this quick effect to summon Link Reable in this zone and then banish their entire board. And then this guy comes back at the next standby phase, and then you go from there. And then you have a free beater and you could just summon King of the Skull Servants. So that's one of the going first plays if the opponent makes you go first. To continue the Link monsters, we also run Nightmare Unicorn for obvious reasons. Dark monster, you could also discard a card as cost to spin 1 card in the field. He also has that other effect where you draw a card for each Conling monster in the field that's Conling to this guy, but you don't really worry about that too much. You're mainly just using him for the spin effect. Same with Nightmare Phoenix. You're mainly using him for spell and trap destruction, which that's what this does. This is pretty much the little brother of Nightmare Unicorn. You target, discard one Link Summon, discard one card, target one spell and trap the opponent controls, and destroy it. And if it's co-linked with other Link monsters, the co-link monsters can't be destroyed by battle, which is also badass, but again, you're mainly using the shooting effect. IP Masquerena, because you can, and there's times where you do want to surprise the opponent and then wait until you decide if you want to go into this one on the opponent's turn to negate stuff, or this one to just blow up the board, or this one and just spin a card. So this is a good card as well going first. Then for your game changers, you have, the glare. You have the Dark Charmer, Gloomy. He, we know what he does by now. You could special summon a dark monster from the opponent's graveyard to a zone this guy points to. And if he's left the grave, or if this card is destroyed by battle or destroyed by opponent's card effect in any way, while it's in the owner's monster zone, you could add one dark monster, 15 or less attack from your deck to your hand. So you pretty much add almost any of your Skull Servants like White Baking or White Mare or King for free basically. So he helps synergize the deck as well, and he helps go into like these big guys basically, which is really awesome. Sorry, I keep saying badass. Sorry YouTube if I'm not allowed to say that. Anyways, I think I am, but anyways, Penistag. Whatever this guy points to, that monster gains piercing damage. Obviously you want that to point at King of the Skull Servants, so you could pierce the crud out of the opponent's monster and then attack for game. But yeah. Then the last monster for the extra deck, Underclock Taker. This is similar to that of Penistag, where instead you target one monster it points to, and then target one monster the opponent controls. That monster loses attack equal to the monster that you just targeted. So you mainly want it to point at King of the Skull Servants, so you target the opponent's monster, and then it loses attack. And normally King of the Skull Servant has like 11,000, 9,000, even 4,000 attack. Not too many monsters are above 4,000, so this pretty much makes your opponent's monster 0 while you attack for game. Makes it much easier. A lot of people I know still don't play this anymore, but I still like it. The fact that it's a generic Link monster and it can enable UltiK as well. So that'll be it for the extra deck. The side deck I'll go through really quick for your convenience, and we all know what these cards do by now. Nibiru, that scary asteroid. Kind of fits the Halloween theme. Just kidding. Triple Tactics, because it's just awesome. Steal the opponent's monster. You can spin a card in their hand back to the deck, yeah. And then you could even draw 2 cards if they activate a monster effect during your turn, which happens a lot. 1 copy of Terraforming. Call by the Grave, because Hand Trap starts the deck. I tried main boarding it, I don't draw too often, but I decided for sure if I do want the UltiK to go off for sure. And I know for sure they're running Hand Traps. Not too many people run Hand Traps, so it really depends. I prefer to just side it. That's just me. Terraforming, like I said, you just search for a field spell. The field spell that you search for is Mystic Mine. For UltiK, you want to shut down the opponent's monster, and you only really need 1 or 2 monsters to end the game anyways. And also there's a combo where you could even activate this while going first. I'll show you guys that in the next video. Cosmic Cyclone, because back row really stops his deck, like with Eldritch, so you want to banish their stuff. And yeah, you just want to UltiK as much as possible. Harpy's Feather Duster, I hardly draw this, but I side it anyways, because it's Harpy's Feather Duster. Because destroy all spells and traps the opponent controls. Beautiful card. And then that's it for the spells and the monsters for the side. For the traps, we mainly run Infinite Impermanence. There's your trap. I side into this simply because I do prefer Ash, because she's a zombie targets. I just find it easier to assign into impermanence because I'm mainly trying to OTK. Also, Forbidden Droplet does just as good. So, if I really need more power to stop the opponent from stopping my OTK, I assign it to the impermanence. And then the last trap, Typhoon. This has broke so many locks because you activate it from your hand when the opponent controls two or more spells and traps. You target one face-up card in the field or face-up spell and trap on the field and destroy it. It could get past Rivalry of the Warlords. It was used to get past Imperial Order, but mainly you want to shoot their floodgates like Gozen Mesh or Rivalry of the Warlords because you want to get that out of the way. That's why Cyclone is here. I even heard there's a Destiny Hero Angel lock with Rivalry of the Warlords, and because Angel locks you out of your spells, this card just destroys the Rivalry of the Warlords, and it's a trap, and they normally have another trap to back it up face down, so you blast that, and then you just link away the Angel, and then you're good to go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And Typhoon fits the Halloween theme as well. So yeah, this card really saved me today, especially against Outlich. And not too many people know about that card, surprisingly, but now they do. If I may say so myself. So anyways, guys, this is the deck profile that I'm giving to you really quick. I hope you enjoyed this, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, if you have any tips or suggestions for the channel or for the decks that I make, I keep an open mind. I absolutely adore your comments. Both the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm just kidding. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy spooky month and happy Halloween. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.